Magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Good weekend to you. Thanks for joining us here. It's Martin Luther King weekend. Hopefully you got a 3-day weekend. If you do, good for you. If not, well, you'll be at work all weekend. But if you're in the market for real estate, you're definitely listening to the right show, because all the information that you're going to be needing is right here. It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. I'm your host, Dave Priest. And over the next 30 minutes, we'll be covering a lot of different stuff. But before we get to that, I'm going to tell you some phone numbers and some information here that you're going to need to know. You can write it down now or get it throughout the course of the show. But the phone number, of course, to get to Blake Sloan is 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. You could also go to the website, which is blakesloanradio.com, blakesloanradio.com. The next 30 minutes, like I said, is jam-packed like it is pretty much every weekend. Blake is here. Blake, what are we going to be talking about this weekend?
Got a ton of great stuff for buyers and sellers. Again, we finally have those numbers in from 2012 in regards to our local market data, the entire Grand Strand. So we're going to talk about what that means for buyers and sellers all the way into 2013, and kind of what the final evaluation of those numbers was. We're going to talk about the combination of the macro market data and the micro market data, and how that information says it's 100% go time for anybody that's a serious home buyer or someone who's serious about getting their home sold into 2013, and how that can affect them towards the later part of the end of the year if they don't do it soon enough. And we're going to talk, fill in some of the details from last week's topic, which was a ticking time bomb for some homeowners out there who may need to sell in the near future. We had a ton of people request more information and a big response from that, and we'll kind of go in a little more detail to answer some of those questions we had. And we're also going to recap that first-time home buyer tax credit, which kind of a lot of people don't really know about that opportunity out there, and surprised me a little as well. So we're going to kind of recap on that for everybody, kind of see, okay, here's what we have going on, here's what opportunities we have, and where can everybody kind of attack those to kind of get that. And of course, as usual, we have the smoking hot deals out there. We got a ton of new properties, and we're just getting a ton of new prices, and we'll kind of cover a little bit of that at the end of the show.
Well, we had so much stuff last week, we couldn't fit it all in, so hopefully we can get it all in this week. So we're going to have to try our hardest, but in the next 30 minutes you're going to be hearing all of that stuff. If you haven't listened last week or in previous weeks, just a little bit of an update on who Blake Sloan is and how he can help you. He's done all sorts of things. Some people have called him the real estate whiz kid. He's been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor Magazine, and a whole lot more. You've heard the commercials here on the air. He's been personally endorsed by both Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck, and those are all just fantastic accomplishments. If you put it together, it's pretty unprecedented, especially in this market. Now, last week we learned a little bit about you, Blake, and your teamwork, and how a good portion of your success has come from your trademark systems for both buyers and sellers here in the market. Could you recap those pretty quickly?
Absolutely, and this is something that I always be pounding on every single week, because the single most important factor that determines your success or failure in the real estate market, regardless if you're a buyer or a seller, is 100% related to the agent that you choose to represent you. Right? It all boils down to that. As most people don't know, there's 100+ variables in both the home buying process and also in the home selling process. They're all totally different. And what we do is we have proactive systems that literally create leverage at every single one of those 100+ points through the entire process. Our guaranteed sold system is a trademark system that A to Z makes sure you can sell your house faster and for up to 21% more money than traditional methods. And we have the proof to kind of show you exactly how that's done, step by step, dollar by dollar. And the same thing on the home buying side. We have an Unfair Advantage home buying program for home buyers out there, where it gets you access to the absolute best deals. Helps you, instead of most people searching newspapers online for properties that are usually already sold, because the best deals sell in 24 hours usually. Even now, we're able to get you priority access to all those properties the very minute hit market. We also get you access to absolute best financing. We leverage our tremendous amount of volume that we do with lenders to help get you the absolute best rates depending on what type of buyer you are, investor, first-time buyer, whatever, and make sure they give you the best rates there. And also make sure that we can get you help through the entire process, the absolute best vendors. And we make sure we have the most powerful negotiation strategies. And in both the buyer and seller, we come from a position of strength. And that's how both of our systems work, and that's why they've been such a big player for us all the way through the process.
Well, we'll be covering all sorts of great stuff throughout the course. We'll go ahead to head to a quick break here right now, but when we get back, we're going to be talking about some numbers. We've got some numbers as far as real estate statistics here locally and nationally. Also, we're going to be talking about mortgage rates. That's all coming up in just a minute. A lot of fantastic stuff in the next 30 minutes. It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan and the Sloan Realty Group. Of course, the phone number again, 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. You You can also go online to BlakeSloanRadio.com. It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show.
Hey, it's your friend Sean Hannity. Now, if you own property in Myrtle Beach,
We have 4 minutes in?
marketing plan.
Oh, we have 4 minutes in, or?
Choose is absolutely.
Actually about 5.
Okay.
When we get out of this commercial, it'll probably be more like about 6.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Marketing system on a whole different level than anyone else in Myrtle Beach. That's so effective at capturing local buyers from around the world that he can guarantee to sell your home at a price and a deadline that you agree to, or Blake's going to buy it. While most agents rely on yard signs and open houses that attract the occasional buyer, Blake attracts hundreds of buyers each month, which creates demand and helps your property sell fast and for top dollar. Now, that's why on average, Blake sells a property every single day of the year and is ranked among the top 100 agents in the entire U.S. by the Wall Street Journal. Now, working with Blake is risk-free. If you're not happy, Blake gives you the freedom to cancel your contract and pay nothing. So give Blake a call today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or just go online and see Blake's interview on NBC at Blake'sGuarantee.com. Blake'sGuarantee.com. And be sure to listen to Blake's Real Estate Show every Sunday morning at 9 and Saturday mornings at 8.
Welcome back to the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. I'm your host, Dave Priest. I'm Hot Talk 99.5 WRNN. We start off every show by looking at some statistics from around the country and from around the region. We've got a lot of numbers to get to here, Blake. Why don't you hit us with some?
Absolutely. We're finally getting the final numbers from 2012 here locally. We covered some of the national stuff here, and usually, you know, the companies that kind of put our data together are usually on the 16th or 17th of the month. So we finally got that this past week. But as a whole for our Grand Strand area, 2012 has proven to be a turnaround year in regards to sales performance as a whole. But just kind of give you the quick numbers. For 2012, all property classes, including single-family homes, condos, lots, they all ended the year with double-digit sales growth compared to 2011. So huge thing there. That means a lot, and we'll kind of talk about that, and you'll see why here. But for the entire year, the single-family homes, the sales are up 18.1% versus 2011, and the median single-family home price rebounded. But for 2012, that median price is $168. And that's 2.6% decline from 2011. So we'll cover that in a second, what that means. We talked about this before. For 2012, condo sales as a whole are up 11.7% compared to 2011. And the median price is at $104,250 with a 3% decline from 2011. Okay, what do those declines mean? What does that mean to us? Because we're seeing a lot of national numbers that say, hey, look, prices are raising, they're coming up. And what that means is we usually follow some of the I guess, forward marketplaces like California, Phoenix, some of Nevada, Florida. We kind of follow them in a way, but what that means is, okay, we finally hit that bottom of that curve, right? So we're seeing the sales go up. What that means is, so our supply has kind of come down now. It's a supply-demand driven, so what's going to happen is the prices are, hopefully what we've seen historically is now they're going to start climbing up just like we've seen in the other marketplaces. That's what we're kind of leading to the big important stuff for 2013, because everyone's calling for those sales prices to go up. Before the prices can go up, the values, obviously you have to see a significant sustained increase in sales, right? So that's going to help get rid of some of that extra supply out there, get rid of a lot of distressed properties, things like that. And as long as we can maintain there's not a huge flood of distressed properties and that shadow inventory we've talked about, that's going to help us really kind of make sure that we stabilize, and we're going to see increased price growth through 2013. We're seeing most other experts are saying the same thing. We're looking to around 3%, 3.3, 3.4% increase in prices through 2013. That's great because you don't want anything huge, so we can obviously maintain stable for the long term. It's still a little bit fragile. Still kind of depends on some government. As long as they kind of keep out of the way a little bit, to be honest with you, that'll help fix the market, correct itself, and hopefully as long as the mortgage rates stay low like they have been, that's going to help fuel that as well. So it's a huge thing. We'll kind of talk more about that, but that's kind of what that means to us. All right, yes, prices were down, but what the good news is we had month after month. It wasn't just 1 month sales were up, then they're back down. It wasn't 2 sets forward, 3 sets back. It was basically continual growth through the last half of the year that's going to help hopefully lead us to price gains into 2013, even first, second quarter hopefully, and finish out strong through the third and fourth quarter.
Plus, we're talking about numbers. Why don't we go ahead and get into mortgage rates and those kind of numbers?
Absolutely, and the home buyer affordability remains, pretty much unchanged from where it was before, but it's at historical lows. We also use the primary mortgage market survey, which is Freddie Mac's big thing that they survey all the largest lenders. What are your rates? What are you kind of doing? 30-year fixed rate dropped slightly from last week to 3.38% for this past week ending, and I think it was, if you look compared to last year, the same thing, it was 3.88%. Big difference there. We're kind of seeing that. Obviously has a lot to do with the Federal Reserve buying a ton of mortgage-backed securities. We talked on previous shows, there's been a huge kind of concern in the mortgage market because some of the people within the Fed are saying, hey, look, we don't want to keep doing this too long. That's why everybody's projecting the mortgage rates will go up. They obviously dropped a little bit from last week, and the same thing, that's a 30-year fix we just quoted. The 15-year fix has pretty much stayed the same as it was, unchanged at 2.66%, and we're obviously lowest that most people have seen in a lifetime. It keeps kind of tingling around those same few numbers there. But as usual, anybody that uses us, we have a relationship with some lenders here who will actually give a certificate that gets you an extra 0.0125% off on your mortgage just for using us and for us helping facilitate that for them. So they can always call us 808-SOLD or go submit a question on our website at blakesloanradio.com for that, and that's something that's very helpful as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just go on to blakesloanradio.com. The email address is ask@blakesloanradio.com. That'd be a place to get in touch with Blake Sloan, Sloan Realty Group. Also, 808-SOLD is the phone number. Now, a lot of people were burning up the phone lines and the websites last week because we were talking about short sales. And a lot of people want to know about that. So tell you what, we're going to recap that when we get back and tell you some of the things that you may have missed if you weren't listening last week. It is the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan on Hot Talk 99.5 WRNN.
Hey, it's your friend Sean Hannity. Now, if you own property in Myrtle Beach, the national marketing plan of the realtor that
I should have played the back spot here. I'm sorry.
It don't matter. Sorry.
Exactly what you need to do.
I'll take 2-1 anyways.
Sloan Realty Group. Now, Blake has a marketing system on a whole different level than anyone else in Myrtle Beach. That's so effective at capturing local buyers from around the world that he can guarantee to sell your home at a price and a deadline that you agree to, or Blake's going to buy it. While most agents rely on yard signs and open houses that attract the occasional buyer, Blake attracts hundreds of buyers each month, which creates demand and helps your property sell fast and for top dollar. Now, that's why on average, Blake sells a property every single day of the year and is ranked among the top 100 agents in the entire U.S. by the Wall Street Journal. Now, working with Blake is risk-free. If you're not happy, Blake gives you the freedom to cancel your contract and pay nothing. So give Blake a call today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or just go online and see Blake's interview on NBC at blakesguarantee.com. blakesguarantee.com. And be sure to listen to Blake's Real Estate Show.
We're at about 12 and a half, almost 13 minutes there. 13. Welcome back to the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. I'm your host, Dave Priest. Now, Blake, on the show last week, I don't know if you expected this many phone calls and this kind of reaction, but you were talking about what you were calling the ticking time bomb of distressed homeowners, short sales, what's going to be coming up in 2013. So why don't you kind of recap that for everybody who was interested?
Absolutely, our phones were blowing up with a lot of people that were interested in knowing more. They kind of felt they were probably in that situation there. But what that whole ticking time bomb thing is, just a quick recap, is anyone who may be a distressed home seller or they're having struggle with payments, whatever it may be, the biggest thing that we kind of noticed and we're talking about in regards to the fiscal cliff deal was the extension of the mortgage cancellation relief, where it was expected to expire, meaning even if you went to foreclosure, if you short sold, even if you did what they called a principal reduction through your mortgage your mortgage company, that you would get taxed on that difference, right? So let's say you had a $200,000 house, you either short sold it, at $100,000, went to foreclosure, whatever it may be, you would get a 1099, no taxes on that $100,000 difference. Huge problem, right? Because most people, if they aren't able to pay the mortgage payment, it's going to be hard to pay, a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 tax bill that's due into that year. That could be, catastrophic for the housing industry because there's a lot of people out there like that. They couldn't get back into the home buying process if they had judgments, things like that. So what the big thing there, hey, look, they extended it for 1 year. Do we feel they're going to extend it again? Probably not, right? It's going to be very difficult for them to do that. Well, what that means for anybody that's potentially thinking about doing something like that, that can be a long process. It can be anywhere from 3 months. We've had some that's lasted over 1.5 years to 2 years, depending on how many mortgages you have, what the HOA situation may be like, if there's anything there, not to mention the time you got to get it marketed, get a contract on it, and submit for a short sale.
Right.
So with that, we say, hey, look, they're literally the ticking time bomb. You definitely don't want to be in December waiting for a final approval. Or let's say, a lot of times there's a case where you'll put it on the market because, there's a lot better chance that you get that short sale approved if you have an offer on it with them. but then you got to put it back on the market if they don't accept a certain price. So there's a lot of certain things there that can take a lot of time. It's very, very important to take action now. The last thing you want to do is find yourself, October, November trying to squeeze something in. People got to get loans, all these certain things and get approval because it can take a long, long time. There's a huge opportunity. There's so many incentives that lenders are doing. We mentioned last week we had our head loss mitigator, Randy Privet, on here. We were talking about one of our clients literally got paid $30,000 at closing to do a short sale. So he hadn't paid payments in a long time. His credit was not affected anything like it would have been in a foreclosure, and he walked away from closing with $30,000. And huge thing there. So people are kind of talking about that. What does that mean if you're struggling? What options are there? And just real quick as a recap, the first option obviously is we want everybody to try to keep their house.
Right.
The first option is a loan modification. Those are statistically very difficult to get approved, and the reason a lot of banks don't is because their numbers even show that literally around 97-98% always fall back into foreclosure, and that's why they're kind of hesitant to it. So what a lot of people will do is they'll submit and say, hey, look, I can't make my payment, here's my modification package, here's what happened to my income. They don't realize that they're saying, okay, well, your income now is too low to keep the loan, and then they'll reject it and do it that same way. We offer a free loan modification kit for everyone. They can download right from the site. It's free. It helps you all the way through the entire process, A to Z. It's very, very helpful. There's a lot of principal reduction things that were part of that RoboForm settlement between a lot of the attorney generals and the major servicers. Billions and billions of dollars out there for that, and we can easily help with that. We always direct in the right area, always depending on situation. Excuse me, that's the most important thing for them because we want you to keep your house, but in most cases, people say it's job loss, whatever. It's usually a major issue that leads to that kind of helps them. So we had a lot of questions and people asking about, okay, what exactly is a short sale? How does it work? And we're going to kind of just cover a little bit of the short sale myths and everything that most people kind of go through.
Well, we got all the short sale stuff going on, but also we're talking about what was happening as far as 2013 is concerned. So yeah, I tell you what, you want to take a break now, or you want to?
I can hit this part real quick too, so we can squeeze it in, just so everybody can kind of see, just to cover off this part. The most people are like, well, what exactly is a short sale? There's a lot of myths out there, and the biggest ones, I'll kind of hit them real quick, and we'll post this on the site too for everybody. Most people say, well, if I just let my house go to foreclosure, I'm done with the situation, I can get a clean slate. Couldn't be further from the truth. And most people obviously don't find that out until it's too late and they get that. The stats show that you're much more likely to get a judgment against you by doing so. And usually the difference is going to be where short sales sell a lot higher than foreclosure properties do at the auctions and things like that. That's a big difference there. But the whole thing is there's a difference there in what your principal reduction is or what was the mortgage debt that was forgiven. But in regards to how our state works, judicial foreclosure state, it's going to go through that process. It's much better for people going through that both credit-wise. Obviously the short sales will be some late payments, things like that. But we've had people who've done a short sale with us and literally were able to buy a similar home that was larger and better in the same neighborhood in less than 9 months. It's easy to get that, credit back up where it needs to be. Much where, a lot of the foreclosures stay on your credit for 7 years. It's a much different process there. We have credit experts that can help you with that as well. But there's a big difference, a lot of different variables depending on that. So there's not even a comparison in regards to the short sale versus the foreclosure. Most people think there's not a lot of options in regards to foreclosure and what they're going to do, and that couldn't be further as well. There's so many things that you can do, loan modification, a deed in lieu, where the bank will say, hey, look, give us the deed back. It saves them a tremendous amount of money in attorney's fees, processes, and we handle a lot of foreclosures after the fact. And the condition of the property is obviously not near as well as it would be if it's lived in with furniture and great. And the properties sell for much more higher. And a lot of big things that people think, and we have people ask about this, is, well, my bank doesn't want to participate in a short sale, it's too hard to qualify. That couldn't be further from the truth either as well. The biggest reason they aren't successful is because that agent or the person who's doing them doesn't really know how to do them. The lenders are tremendously overloaded with file after file after file that come through, and what we do is we pretty much have a package that's hundreds of pages sometimes, and we have it like almost like dummy proof. It has page 1, a big 1 on it, cover letter, page 2, so we have it so that comes in, guess what, it goes right to the top, and we're able to push that through. The success rate in MLS was roughly around 20% previously. The banks are making it a little more easier, but we've always maintained over 90% success rate with ours because literally flying around the country, met with these bankers, met with these people, what do you need it to be like, how can we better do it, and that's why we've been able to have so much success with it. And we also have someone who's negotiating it full time, which is Randy we talked with last week, and that's something that's really important where make sure you're talking to an expert that knows what they're talking about.
Right.
The last thing you want to do is they say, free advice worth is what you pay for it in most cases. Make sure you're talking to someone who knows what it is. We obviously will give it without any charge with that, but it's important to have someone who's an expert in that. Most people think that short sales aren't that common. That couldn't be further from the truth. They're expecting a huge jump between 2012 and 2013 in these short sales because much more banks are pressured to do that. They're getting stats and it's proving to them that protects their asset a lot better. It sells for more and it costs them a lot less in the long run. They range from anywhere from 10 to 50% in the entire nationwide in regards to sales, so it's very, very important. So that's the one thing that people think, oh, they often get denied. There's so many ways that you can go back and get it escalated, take it to managers. We have contacts in literally every single major bank that we've completed successful short sales with that we can reach out to make sure that we're able to get that put back in there and done. And the other thing is most people think short sales cost money out of pocket, right? Not the case, and that's the one thing that's really important. Where we were able to partner with an attorney who helps us push that through a part of our separate loss mitigation company, and they usually anything they ever charge is always charged through the closing to the bank to do that. And our homeowners, like I said, literally in cases have walked away from the closing table with checks as much as $30,000 from the bank to do that. And again, that's because there's so many incentives that most people don't know about, or they've noticed it's worth that for them to go through the entire legal process for 2 to 3 years, deal with a lot of the government red tape. They can get it sold, get the asset off the books, and get it at a much higher price. And the other thing too is most people say, well, if I'm behind my payments, I can't do a short sale. That's not true, but you don't want to be too far behind because that can make it more difficult. There's so many things that are there, but we're able to eliminate all of the problems, issues. And again, our system, we proactively eliminate these through the entire process. And the one thing people think too is, if I got a foreclosure notice in the mail, I can't do one. We've had it where we've gone literally days before the sale, stopped it, got a buyer for it, presented it to the bank, got it there, and gone through that entire short sale and saved that homeowner from the foreclosure. Do we want to have to do that every time? Absolutely not. It's not very easy, but anybody that can't be too early to do it, or at least evaluate your options there in regards to what they do. Last thing really too is people are saying, well, denied for a loan modification. That doesn't mean they think I can't do a short sale. Not the case either. A lot of loan modifications are denied because banks aren't approving them. Their approval rate's much, much higher in short sales, literally multiples, and there's two separate parts within the companies that do those. There's a loan modification side they have and short sales side they have, and we're able to kind of show you that, compare those options. So anytime, submit your questions, your situation. Like I said, it's free consultation there, 100% discreet.
Right.
We do this all day, every day, and are very, very good at what we do in those regards.
All you need to do is go to BlakeSloanRadio.com. That's BlakeSloanRadio.com. Give them a call also at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. The email address, ask@BlakeSloanRadio.com. It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Coming up next, it is a new year, but Blake's got information on why buyers don't want to stay on the sidelines this time of the year. It could be the best time for you. That's more coming up next on the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show. Hello, Myrtle Beach. Glenn Beck.
I saw you give me that look, like, I ran real long, I guess, on that one.
When we get out of this, it's going to be at approximately 24, so you'll have about 6 minutes total left. If you wanted me to play the commercial again at the very end, you'd have about 5 minutes to talk.
We don't have to, no commercial, that's fine.
Okay, so we'll have like 6 minutes then.
Okay, we'll do that quickly, and then the deal with a minute and a half left.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you cues as 2 minutes and 1 minute.
Until you start the music?
Well, when the music starts, you would have 1 minute left.
Okay.
May hopeful buyer finds you. But Blake spends tens of thousands of dollars attracting buyers from all over the world that come to Myrtle Beach. That helps his property sell faster.
So I'll give you like a 3 minute, a 2 minute, and then when you hear the music start, and I'll give you a 1 minute right then.
All right.
His level of service, but you never will. He's the real estate agent I wish I could have called, Blake Sloan. Call him now at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD, or visit Blake's website and see his interview on NBC. That's Blake'sGuarantee.com. Or listen to Blake's Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 8 or Sunday morning at 9.
It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. 808-SOLD is the phone number. BlakeSloanRadio.com, the web address. And before we went to break, Blake, we found out, that's hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
We were talking about short sales, but also over the past couple of weeks, you've talked about the fact that we're into a new year. It's 2013. And there's been a lot of changes, there's been a lot of new rules, a lot of things you need to keep in mind as far as going into the brand new year, but it's also a time for buyers to pay attention.
Huge thing. We just did a news story this week for WMBF about, okay, we're in 2013, what's that mean for opportunity? What should we do? And we've just really discovered and shown that so many buyers have been on the sidelines, right? That's the one thing. Are we through the foreclosures? Are we through the shadow inventory? Okay, the biggest thing is have prices hit rock bottom. And, stats show that we're pretty close, right there at it, if not. But here's the one kicker that makes so much more difference than a few $1,000s in price. Like you're seeing there's 2% decrease, over the year, whatever it is. Interest rates. Those are huge, and that's what everybody. We talked before. The Mortgage Bankers Association says that look, it's going to be an entire point higher by the end of 2013. Is what all their studies show.
Right.
We've seen a lot of that kind of come to at least that. Based on what people are doing in the Fed minutes. So what does that mean? If you're on the sidelines, now it's time to get in the game in those regards. Prices are at an all-time low. Obviously, we've seen that.
Right.
Other stats from the end of the year show how we've scraped the bottom. Now it's starting to rise up. As anybody's a smart buyer knows, you always want to do what? Buy low, sell high, right? So here's the thing. Where rates are going to go up, that's going to massively decrease your buying power if that's the case. We've done it in those shows before. We gave the example of, let's say someone has a $200,000 house. They say, well, $250,000 house, they owe $200,000. They have kids, family, job got better. Now they can afford 20% more, right? Well, if that rate went up 1%, they could literally only afford a loan $6,000 more. Right. But their payment would have gone from $898 all the way up to $1,078. So this, $200 or $300 increase per month, 20% more per month. So all that 20% is wiped out by that 1% increase. Okay, people get into the buy, and you can buy for much less than you can rent for. So the one thing that's really important, okay, you want to watch that balance of rates going up compared to the prices. Everybody always focuses on prices, and sometimes it's not the right metric in regards to what your deal is going to be long term. So we're watching that go up. The thing is, if you're thinking about it, time to get in now. Well, what if you're in your house, you need to sell, but you don't want to take a hit? Look, if you're moving up, you got much more buying power. These low rates are going to make it much harder in the future for you to be able to buy a higher price home, a larger home, because your buying power is going to be decreased by the interest rate. Huge deal there. So even if you take a smaller hit on your house you're selling now, you're getting into a much larger house who went through the same exact thing, right? Their percentage is knocked down usually around the same part that yours was, but now you have much more buying power with lifetime lows of interest rates to help you get in there. Supply is shrinking. We've seen that happen already. There's less distress sales, which is solidifying that, showing that price is going to go up. Our rents have been skyrocketing. We've seen that as well. The interest rates are projected to be up to 4.4% by the end of 2013. And again, no matter what you're investing in, it doesn't matter if it's widgets, real estate, stock, whatever, you always want to buy low, sell high. This is usually the largest asset, and it's a very, very, very important thing to make sure you're doing. We can talk to you, in detail about what your situation is, how it may help, and the reality of it. But right now, this is time to jump off and make sure that you're getting in that game there.
Well, the thing is, you've got so much information. We've only got a couple minutes left here at this point in time, but there's so much information you've had as far as why to buy now, short sales. Obviously, to get in touch with you to get all this information, just give you a call at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. You could also go to BlakeSloanRadio.com. That's BlakeSloanRadio.com. Blake, before we get out of here for today, you always like to end off every show with the fact that you've got some great deals that might be kind of bubbling underway.
Yep, and there's you can get access to all the deals. I'm talking hundreds a week, and the best ones go within. They don't make it to the newspaper. They're sold before there's ever an ad made, or some websites get their 24, 48-hour feed. You can get access to hottest deals before anyone else. Access a link right on our website. But one of the best deals I mentioned it last week is that giant multi-million-dollar home. It's a gated community on the ocean in Pleasant Island. It's literally, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 square feet. It's still fully furnished. It was on a rental program. Yeah. Immaculate condition. The back is oceanfront. The front is deep water inlet access with a boat dock. Everything. $2.33 million. Been worth much, much more than that. Huge, huge opportunity there. Check our website, and we can get you access to all those deals, all the information there, and get you the very minute those deals hit the market, they get to your email.
Does that come with boats and stuff like that?
It allows a very wealthy person to park their big toy there so everybody can see it.
Sounds like you got a lot of good stuff. Obviously, if you'd like to get in touch with Blake to talk about anything you've heard here today, or if you have any kind of real estate questions, he is there to help you. He and his team at Blake with Sloan Realty Group, and they got their big new building there on Highway 501. So you can stop by and see him there. Blake, thanks for coming in this weekend. We'll see you again.
No problem. Thanks everybody for listening.
All right, it is the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. If you need need more information, obviously, again, 808 sold.